right, back to it now. What about the future of warfare? Huh? What about it? Will Thibeau is a former Army Ranger, director of the American Military Project at Claremont. He's joining me now. Will, nice to see you on the program here, and you've got a warning for us. You say that these drones, I mean, I've seen all these cute light shows with drones, right? All these cute light shows with drones that do all these coordinated movements together, make big pictures and so forth. But it makes me wonder, if they can do all those nice things, they can do wicked things as well. And you say we're not ready for the next war. Why do you say that?
Well, first, let's envision all of those drones and those light shows you see in China or other places around the world having bombs on them, and each of them being an explosive device that can destroy a tank, a $1,000 drone destroying a $20 million tank. That's the new battlefield algebra of modern warfare. And I don't think America is ready, partly thankfully, because we haven't fought that kind of war in Ukraine. But we also are burdened by a lot of legacy systems that are holding us back. And there's a good sign that Secretary Hegseth, Secretary Dan Driscoll in the Army, and the administration understands what time it is. Because if we're going to deter and, if necessary, compete in a future war, we need mass amounts of attritable drones on hand in order to defeat our enemies. That's what it's going to take. It won't be the most sophisticated, exquisite weapon system. It will be software-enabled warfare that can compete even when typical systems fail.
Let me ask you this. Let me ask you this, Will. I mean, I'm low tech. Couldn't you just jam the signals so that those drones cannot communicate properly? Is that not something that can be done? I mean, I'm just asking as a civilian.
It's possible, but a lot of these drones, and frankly, many of the drones that you see now on the front lines in Russia and Ukraine, communicate via a direct radio antenna that it works via line of sight. So it's actually less susceptible to typical GPS or electronic warfare jamming, probably than some of those drone light show events you would see. But it means they're actually more resilient to those counter UAS effects. But that means we should appreciate
simply put, then, Will, if you can get a tower in the air, and maybe it's a mobile tower in the back of a truck, right? Then you just get that tower and you put it up, boom, and you've got line of sight. You can reach a long way. You could reach, 2, 3, 4 miles, depending on how tall that tower is. You got a 200-foot tower coming off the back of a truck that you can put in the air. You're not susceptible. Than that,
Steve. I mean, you're talking 25, 30 kilometers.
All right.
That, again, redefines the battlefield, right? If American forces went into Ukraine today, we'd probably still operate under the assumption that we need to get about 3 kilometers away from the Russians in order to destroy their tanks with a system like the Javelin, or, a soldier-based, ground-based anti-tank weapon. In reality, the Russians and the Ukrainians both are operating with drones that allow them to strike targets, again, 15, 20 kilometers away. That means the threat radius of the front lines is a lot greater, and it's a lot, it's a lot newer. It's like nothing we've experienced, frankly, since World War I, when we dug trenches. We had systems that could touch out to each other and create a real no man's land that makes traditional battlefield maneuver really hard.
Yeah. The good news, if there is good news about the Ukraine-Russian war, based on what you've just told me, Will, is that we are watching it, we being the American military and other militaries around the world, watching how this works, understanding the threat radius, as you just mentioned, and learning everything we possibly can about the use of drones and how they can be more effective going forward. We're not oblivious to it. We're learning from it, wouldn't you say?
That's the imperative, and it's a hope and prayer, frankly, because all of the discussion for almost 3 years was all the weapons and money and people we could or should send to Ukraine. There was not as much discussion about the lessons and the technology that we can take out of Ukraine that can affect our own military and our own warfighting preparedness, and frankly, our own deterrent. That should be the number one mission of the government, is to understand how, a supposed adversary in Russia fights, understand what a threat environment would look like on battlefields of the future, and then prepare our military, as they say, left of bang, so we don't have to learn all of these lessons the hard way. I'm sure we would learn the lessons, but let's not make it be at the price of American blood.
In all of this, you support Pete Hegseth as a Secretary of Defense. Pete Hegseth took a lot of heat for this signal situation, and you know, the mainstream media tries to put out a news story every day trying to undermine Pete Hegseth. Donald Trump doesn't seem too interested in the mainstream media take on any of that. He's keeping Hegseth where he is. What do you think about Pete Hegseth, Secretary of Defense?
He's doing a great job. You know, Steve, going back 10 years, when I was a lieutenant in the Army, I would hear about transformation and innovation. I would hear about the need for the Army to change in order to be ready for the next war and to be ready for the 21st century. But year after year, you know, national defense strategy after national defense strategy, past secretaries of defense, generals in the Pentagon, and supposed national security experts never actually changed anything. Pete Hegseth does it. He is actually changing things. His transformation initiative memo from last Thursday is a perfect example of this. You know, he fit in 3 or 4 pages, everything from bans on diversity to ensuring we have stockpiles of unmanned systems. And he just did it. And that's the kind of leadership we need. It's disruptive. Perhaps it is messy sometimes, but it is absolutely necessary.
All right, Will Thibeau, former Army Ranger Director of the American Military Project at Claremont, RLTW there, Will. Greatly appreciate you being here, my friend. We'll have you back because there's more questions I want to ask about the war in Ukraine and some of the things that we're learning from watching this, from whatever distance we're watching it. I think we're probably right there next to them, but that's just for another day. Will, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, so there's your wake-up call. He likes Hegseth. That's good news, but he thinks we need to update our systems. Probably true. We don't want to look like Russia in the next war, flat-footed and incapable, like they were going into Ukraine, all right? Still to come, Justin Goodman will be here, advocacy for public policy. At the White Coat Waste Project, we're going to talk about the murder of beagles at the NIH, all right? It's still to come.